Good morning and welcome to the Standing Committee's meeting for Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. All council meetings will be live streamed on the city's website, and for guest speakers, please do not turn off your microphones. Our first order of business is roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charland.
Here.
Mr. Coghill.
Here.
Ms. Gross. Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. Mosley.
Here.
Mrs. Carol Smith. Mrs. Warwick. Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mrs. Strasburger, Chair.
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before City Council. Profanity will not be permitted. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Elena Zaitsoff.
I'm Elena Zaitsoff. I live in the Oak Cliff neighborhood of South Oakland, where I'm president of the Oak Cliff Community Organization, which I'm representing today. The Oak Cliff Community Organization is a registered community organization. My comments are regarding the version of the RCO legislation that contains changes from the Department of City Planning. City Planning has stated, and I quote, that many revisions directly reflect 2023 survey feedback. That may be true in some areas, but not when it comes to changing the thresholds that determine if a dam is needed. To the survey question, which project types listed here should not require a dam? The highest percent in any category for not requiring a dam was 20%. Why are changing the thresholds even being considered when the survey results don't support it? For example, only 5 people said the number of units triggering a dam is too low. Only 4 people said the square footage of 2,400 square feet is too small, yet it's proposed to change. Only 2 people voted for dropping the parking threshold, yet that's to be eliminated. These specific thresholds are the ones that affect residential areas the most. Without them, residents won't know what's being built in their neighborhoods and will lose their voice about the impacts. I was assured dams will still be needed for many projects in UCMU, UCE, and RMU districts, proving my point that eliminating those in residential areas was a goal, and changing the thresholds could accomplish that goal. Dams shouldn't just be for large projects. The summary from City Planning states, adjusted thresholds will reduce the number of required dams. As for the goal of City Planning to have fewer dam meetings, dropping the art and historic review from requiring dams will significantly take care of that without lowering the thresholds that will have a negative impact on residential neighborhoods. Another issue is decreasing the number of days between the dam and the public hearing, which is currently 30. This ensures that every neighborhood, the 30 ensures that every neighborhood will be able to hold its regular meeting to study, discuss, and form an opinion about the project. If it is cut to 21 days, some neighborhoods won't be able to meet before the public hearing. This goes against the entire purpose of community engagement. Please take the time to study the actual legislation and the survey results with these comments in mind, and not just read the somewhat misleading and incomplete summary. The legislation needs more work before being voted on. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jack Billings.
My name is Jack Billings. I live downtown in Councilman Bobby Wilson's district. The City of Pittsburgh's property tax is actually 2 separate taxes, a tax on land value and a tax on building value. We should raise the tax on land value and lower the tax on building value. The city has the statutory power to set the millage rate for land independently of that for buildings. Historically, we did so for 88 years, from 1913 to 2001. It does not violate the uniformity clause of the Pennsylvania Constitution to do so. In my email to council with the transcript of these comments, I will cite law review articles stating that conclusion. While the county has not done reassessments since 2012, and ideally they would be reassessing every year, we do still have roughly accurate assessments for land and buildings in the city. We already collect real estate taxes. Raising the land millage rate thus requires no new employees, no new infrastructure, and no legal changes. When considering a specific tax change, we should consider 3 questions. First, what change in behavior does the tax change cause? Second, who ends up paying the tax in the end as a result of those behavioral changes? Third, does the change in taxes fall more heavily on the wealthy or poor in the city? The supply of land in the city is fixed. Taxing it at a higher rate does not decrease the supply of land. The tax cannot be avoided by moving out of the city. Whoever owns the land still pays the tax. The incidence of the tax, who pays it, falls entirely on the landowners, be that corporations, businesses, or homeowners. It cannot be passed on to renters. Since the value of land owned by an individual or corporation correlates with how wealthy that individual or corporation is, a tax on land falls more heavily on the wealthy. It is a progressive tax. An increased land tax makes land hoarding and speculation more expensive and thus decreases it. This results in more land being developed into housing, pushing down rents. In contrast, the tax on buildings discourages new construction and encourages allowing a building to decay into blight. It decreases the supply of housing. That pushes up rents and displaces people from our city. The incidence of the building tax falls on renters, the displaced, and the homeless. It is a regressive tax. I encourage City Council to raise the millage on land and lower the millage on buildings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There being no further registered speakers, we'll now take comments from those in the audience wishing to speak.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Wright. I'm a Hill District resident, and I apologize if I'm speaking out of order. I came for the clarification for the food trucks to find out if there's some type of blueprint we could have to have an understanding, because we and I have gone to different locations throughout the city trying to just get clarification. One person tells us that we can park at a meter anytime, and then you get down there and then you have the parking authority telling us we have to move. So I just wanted to know if in this meeting, if this Article 719 is going to give us some understanding. I'm real excited about the draft, but I need to eat today. So if I could come downtown and park, because there's not that many footprints downtown right now. It's a little desolate, but I believe that if we're allowed to come down here, we can drive more money and revenue into the city. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live in the Hill District, 715 Mercer Street. Testador is running for District 2. I didn't know, you know, I'm a little old now, and whenever I try to speak and you're talking, it really throws me off, because I only get 3 minutes. So if you just could keep your mouth shut for 3 minutes and listen, maybe we can get this city together. We can do better than what we're doing. Now, first thing I wanted to say is Dave Testador was running for Ms. Smith's office. Also, her aide was running. See, they say you can't come down and say that you're running for office. So I didn't even know her aide was running, because I might not have told Testador that I would go with him in campaign, because her aide, Mrs. Smith's aide, has been for years down here, and you know it. But she's always given me much respect. So I might have not told Dave that I would go with him. Well, I went, and I wanted to say to the community that I was very pleased with the way that we were treated. Now, you have Ms. Smith's person is running, and we were standing next to Ms. Smith's person, and I'm with Testador. And I realized that she's running. And I wish I had known, because I might have told Testador that I wouldn't campaign for him. But Testador is a good person, and he does know the city, and he knows a lot of stuff that you just don't know. If you listen to him when he stands up here, he has given us history about this city. Also, Testador is the one that I was here at the meeting, and they had said that Jens had forgot something, so you're going to have to do it, and we're going to ask to speak. Well, I had to leave. When I came back, I found out that Jens had called the police on the activists. You called the police, and Mr. Burgess snuck out in the front and said, you know, you have city council rules, and then you have our tradition. And your tradition is that you're coming late. You start at after 10:30 sometime, which you shouldn't, but you do. I'm gonna stop talking about that because it makes me sick every time I think about you. Won't start on time, and when you don't start on time, you still don't get punished. I think you should be fined $5 a minute anytime you're late. Anytime you're late. I also want to tell you that it's not just me. There was the elderly white lady that came with someone that was getting a proclamation, and she was saying she came to see, and she said she don't know how you just slander in and stand around and be talking to each other while we're sitting.
Thank you, Ms.
and
Brown.
waiting.
Next speaker, please. Are there any further speakers?
Hello, I'm here today on vending,
Your
represent
name and neighborhood, please.
Mount Washington
Your
Business
name?
District.
Sorry, can you state your name for the record, please?
Howard Todd,
Thank you.
TODD. Right now, Section 71905AH of the Code of Ordinance states vendors of any kind may not locate on Grandview Avenue, including any side streets from Wyoming Street to Shaler Street, Shiloh Street and Virginia Avenue from Wyoming to Maple Terrace unless otherwise allowed through a special permitted event. These locations are 3 of the 7 business districts in the neighborhood of Mount Washington and Duquesne Heights. This ordinance was established to protect businesses in these 3 business districts under fair competition by street, sidewalk, and empty lot vendors. Let's just call these street vendors. The neighborhood brick and mortar businesses, whether new or well-established, have had calculated business investment decisions based on many different factors. None of those decisions are based on potential competition from street vendors. Why? Because such competition is prohibited in these neighborhoods, and rightfully so. The brick and mortar business provide essential neighborhood jobs, attract tourists who contribute to the local economy, and create a vibrant dining and entertainment environment. Street vendors do not offer these benefits in established dining and entertainment business districts. Granting street vendors the opportunity to operate in these 3 protected business districts creates an unfair competitive business environment for these reasons. 1, street vendors make a much lower cash investment in their business compared to brick and mortar establishments. 2, street vendors can more easily close or relocate their businesses when business is slow. 3, street vendors can set up at neighborhood entry points like near inclines, parking areas, bus stops. Brick and mortar establishments, which rely on customers from these entry points, cannot. Changing a law that brick and mortar business owners relied on when making their business investment decisions to a law that allows comparatively any significant, easier, and less expensive competition from any other type of business is inherently unfair. As far as street vendors, I think there are appropriate areas where they should be able to operate and inappropriate areas where they should not be permitted to operate. They should not be permitted to operate in these 3 business districts for the reasons I have stated above. And I'm running out of time, and I'd like to give it to my colleague here, Tony, to finish that up if it's my format here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony LaRusso, address is Mount Washington, Grandview. I just want to follow up a little bit. I think there's plenty of places for street vending that make a lot of sense. This isn't against one against the other. I think the brick and mortar businesses, Pittsburgh's businesses, the owners, no matter who they are, they're putting a lot of capital into this. They're there for the long haul, no matter what, not just because there's going to be influx of people for a weekend. So they take the ups and downs, whether it be public transportation that breaks down with where Todd is on the incline or something like that. They deal with that throughout ups and downs and put their blood, everything into it to make it stable on bad times. Street vendors do the same thing, but they have the ability to move. And so I think there's got to be a little bit more skin in the game, to be quite fair. I also know that I had to take a 2-day health course with the health department. If you're serving food as street vendors, I mean, these are things that they can all of a sudden change what they're selling. There definitely should be a competition rule added to this where how far they should have to be from someone who's already put their life savings every day they woke up for this, without discounting the person starting their own business as a street vendor. But they shouldn't be able to park right outside, get free parking and this and that. It should be more skin in the game to make it closer to a fair level playing field. My suggestion to the council would be you guys control the parks, or maybe you have some input on the parks. That's a great place, to be quite fair. And then I would like to know, this is being pushed from I've been on a couple of these meetings, based on the draft is kind of what I'm hearing, and I've seen and heard people say. Is there an expiration date after the draft on this, or is this just simply for we're talking about changing the whole system and using, dare I say, the draft as an excuse? Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Seeing no further speakers, we will now move on to the Standing Committee's agenda. Our first committee is the Finance and Law Committee. And we have supplemental new papers, Bill 2471.
Resolution transferring the amount of $300,000 within the 2025 operating budget expenditures from Department of Finance, Debt Services, Interest, to the Department of Public Works, Bureau of Facilities, Property Services, Maintenance for playground upgrades.
Motion to approve.
Discussion?
Where is the money coming from?
Interrogatory?
I'm sorry, do you know?
Yeah, this is come from within the last operating, this year's operating budget from the interest that was gained.
I couldn't-
Pete's here to explain if you like.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry, just briefly, I just want to know where we're moving the money from, that's all. I want to make sure it's not coming from a project in my district.
Hi, Peter McDevitt, City Council Budget Director. This is money in the 2025 operating budget. It is for the payment that we had for debt service, so we take out bonds to pay for most of our capital budget every year. And in our operating budget, we have debt service payments. We got good rates on our bonds this past year, so there was actually a relatively large savings in that bucket. So that's a savings that since we're not paying for that, Councilman Wilson is transferring it to DPW to use for some parks maintenance.
No, it would be for a new playground in Jack Stack.
But it would have just gone towards debt service payments.
Do you
But
know what's happening with I think I put $500,000 in for Shaler Park to be renovated. Do you know what's going on with that? Would
Nope.
you check on that for
I
me?
can certainly look
You're the
into
one who
it.
helped me move the money, so I want to
Yeah.
make sure. All right, thank you. Thank you, that's
Any
it.
further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2471, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. New papers, Bill 2433.
Ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh City Code, Title I Administrative, Article 9, Boards, Commissions, and Authorities, Chapter 178A, Youth Commission and Youth Council, by strengthening the commission's alignment with the City of Pittsburgh's structure to ensure that it reflects the diversity of young people across all neighborhoods and communities, thus prioritizing the lived experiences of Pittsburgh's youth to inform the decisions of the city's elected leadership.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Councilperson Charland.
Yeah, is someone here to talk about this?
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, David Geiger, Ledge and Policy Director.
So what are we doing here? I know that we did this a month, maybe a little bit longer ago. Just curious what this one's about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Council, voted on comprehensive changes and updates to this part of the code about a month ago. This is to resolve a drafting error, which is on me, not on Alexis. In drafting the updates to that, one of the things we wanted to do was to strike the section about compensation, and I accidentally deleted that text instead of striking it through. So this is a largely technical amendment. What it would do is allow for the future compensation of members of both the commission and the council. However, to be clear, it's not actually appropriating any funds. This is just an enabling action that would allow that in the future, but any decision to do that would have to be, at least for city funds, budgeted by council. And then the other reason for doing it outside of sort of city appropriations would be, these are young people that we're asking to come downtown, spend time, contribute their time and efforts, and so the ability to help compensate for things like transportation, meals, things like that may come from either a future appropriation of city funds or come from, a donation or a nonprofit or, some other, way of getting money in. But right now, the way the code is written, we can't compensate them.
So would it require that we pay them? I mean, it's just...
Absolutely not. It's an enabling action. Right now it says you absolutely cannot. This strikes that from the language, which means in the future you could. But it's not mandating that you do in any way.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kell Smith.
Yeah, I'm just curious why you just don't wait and see if it's needed, then amend it at that time. Why you're putting it in now.
That is certainly an option for council.
We keep saying how broke we are, and then we keep trying to pay people to come down and do their civic duty or whatever. And I'm just thinking, if we're broke and we can't buy ambulances, we can't buy the equipment to take care of people in the community, we can't demo properties, but yet we keep handing money out.
Sure, I hear that concern.
And I just saw something about raising taxes from the controller's office. So.
Heard and understand your concerns. Again, this is not actually an action that would compensate them or force compensation at this time. This is simply enabling and allowing it in the future. Your point is well taken. We could wait. Council could choose to wait and not approve this. However, this was meant to be part of a overall package of changes, and it was a technical drafting error. I did feel a responsibility to place it forward.
I mean, I love the idea of engaging youth because, when we did the Sheridan Park Master Plan, we had more youth engagement than anybody else, and nobody paid the kids. They were just there because they cared about the community, and that gave them a great pride. But for me, it's the idea that we keep doing this kind of stuff, that we continue to hand money out when we don't have it to hand out. Even if it's not, even if we say we're not going to do, we're never going to come back and somebody's going to say, oh, well, we had the permission to do it, so we just did it. So I think if you need to do it, I don't know why we're not working with Port Authority to make sure we're getting kids transportation, free transport, which we already do through Pittsburgh Public Schools. They have a lot of transportation, and why we're not working on those kinds of things instead of always like we're going to hand money out. That's all. I'm going to vote no today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, all this does is strike
I know what it does.
some words. I'm asking a question, just to clarify. Members shall serve without compensation. It does not definitively say members shall receive compensation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we still have the choice as to whether we as a city compensate these members. And I know that, there's a lot of talk around serving on across the country, a lot of discussion about how we attract people from all different subsets of a city or a community to participate. Some of those could be, what some have tried is a stipend, but some could be, transportation costs, paying for the cost of the bus pass to get downtown for the meeting, paying for the cost of parking, whatnot. I know we've discussed that in some of the boards and authorities that I serve on as well. Could that considered to be a way of attracting? Is that something that you and Alexis have discussed as a way of attracting young people as well?
Yeah, that has been part of the discussion.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Bill, getting back to this, 2433, please indicate by saying aye.
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 No.
1 no. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Affirmative recommendation. 2434.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Finance to submit a Keystone Recreation Park and Conservation Fund grant application to the Pennsylvania Office of Commonwealth Libraries for the replacement of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and roofing systems at the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh's Squirrel Hill branch in an amount not to exceed $400,000 for this stated purpose.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2434, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2435.
Resolution providing for the sale of certain property acquired by the City of Pittsburgh at tax sales, items A through AA. 1703 Cliff Street, Council District 6, 1707 Cliff Street, Council District 6, 539 Roberts Street, Council District 6, 539 Roberts Street, Council District 6, 2814 Bedford Avenue, Council District 6, 2223 Webster Avenue, Council District 6, 2259 Webster Avenue, Council District 6, 5218 Rosetta Street, Council District 9, 0 Fram Street, Council District 9, 0 Hale Street, Council District 9, 0 Dursum Street, Council District 9, 8366 Bryceland Street, Council District 9, 8373 Vedette Street, Council District 9, 4640 Chatsworth Street, Council District 5, 0 Winston Street, Council District 5, 11 Muskego Way, Council District 2, 0 Boggs Avenue, Council District 2, 1230 Crucible Street, Council District 2, 904 Valonia Street, Council District 2, 807 Lorenz Avenue, Council District 2, 3124 Sutherland Street, Council District 2, 841 Lovett Way, Council District 1, 909 Morrison Street, Council District 6, 0 Boyle Street, Council District 6, 4136 Franklin Road, Council District 1, 2344 California Avenue, Council District 1, and 2348 California Avenue, Council District 1.
Motion to approve with discussion?
Second.
Second with discussion?
Yeah, can we have someone come to the table for this, please? Thank you. Good morning, Director.
Good morning. Jen Gula, Finance Director and City Treasurer.
Thank you. Could you tell us about these properties?
Sure. These are all sales that my department has started for individuals. These were initially sales that we took via treasurer sale and now are in the 3 TB inventory. So these are all public sales.
The public. So we used to get updates on what was happening with the properties in our district. I have no idea what you're buying these properties for or what you're doing. So could you give me some update on the ones in my district? I can't speak for all theirs, but for mine.
So as part of the submission, I believe there was a whole packet of information that got submitted. One page was what the parcel actually was, who was buying it, and what they were buying it for.
Who did submit it to? To us?
Yeah, and I
the
think it
clerk's
was
office.
actually, when I pulled up the agenda online, they were submitted as attachments.
Okay, so I want to know about the ones in my district.
Yep, and there's maps there as well to show you exactly where they're located.
Yeah,
So,
because I'm going to tell you, because we purchase properties or we get moved properties, and it's supposed to be if they don't do something within 2 years, we take them back or whatever. And we never do that. I mean, I never see that happening. What I see is people buying properties in our district, LLCs mostly,
Yep.
raising the rents in my district, and then, nobody coming and take care of these properties. And so I hear you saying that, these are probably local people buying these properties. I want to know who's buying them. I want to know what they intend to do with them. I'm not going to let them go in my district until I know what's happening with them.
okay.
Okay.
Would you like me to?
I'll
You want me to
abstain
send
today.
you
Send me details of what's happening with my
Yep.
properties in my district, and then if the community is supportive, then I'll be okay. If not, I'll delete them next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2435, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Sorry, we said one no and one
No,
abstain?
I'm abstaining until I know.
Okay, sorry, I just couldn't hear what your council colleague
Thank you.
said. One
Thank you.
abstention, thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next order of business is invoices. Is there a motion on invoices?
So moved.
Discussion? We do have one note from our Assistant Budget Director. Under DOMI, there's an invoice to the PA One Call System for $5,485.88. And according to DOMI, this is a monthly charge based on usage. This month, it went over the $5,000 explanatory limit. This would require a waiver of the rules of council.
Motion to waive the rules.
Discussion? Seeing none, all.
Definitely want
Yes.
to pay that bill.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great thing, PA one call. There's a lot of.
Yes, the only other option would be for them to submit an invoice, but
No, I think this is appropriate.
we can monitor this if it continues to happen. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor of waiving the rules of council, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any further discussion on invoices? Seeing none, all those in favor of invoices, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Invoices are approved. Our next order of business is, or that moves us along to P cards. Is there a motion on P cards?
Motion to approve.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of P cards, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. P cards are approved. That moves us to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, chaired by Councilmember Warwick.
New papers, Bill 2436, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement or agreements with Noble Environmental Specialty Recycling for programming, collection, and recycling of household hazardous chemicals and electronic waste for city residents' use at city cost not to exceed $571,250 over a period of 2 years, with 3 separate options for 1-year renewal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Discussion?
So I do have an amendment for this, just changing the, everyone has it. So I'll motion to amend.
Is there a second? Discussion on amendment? Is there discussion on the amendment?
Not
Or-
for me, no.
It looks like a technical amendment, but is
Yeah.
there someone who can explain what it does?
Sure, if you want to, yeah.
Chris Hornstein, Director of Public Works.
Sean Weigel, Superintendent, Bureau of Environmental Services.
So the technical amendment realizes when we were originally drafting this legislation, it was calling for 2025 funds, but the contract actually doesn't come live until 2026. So the language should reflect that change, that these costs will be borne out of in 2026.
So Well, I was going to have, just to explain what the actual bill is, you might as well do that now, too.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
changing the provider, yeah.
So we are changing the provider. The current provider is Pennsylvania Resources Council. We feel that Noble Environmental Services has provided us with a really compelling service. So I've asked Sean here to explain the changes in service.
Certainly, we put this out for bid. Noble actually came back cheaper and provided more services for our residents. So now we will have weekly electronic and household hazard waste collection and environmental services. This is in addition to just, right now we have the electronics. So instead of waiting months to be able to take your paints, chemicals, it'll be weekly for our residents. In addition to that, they'll still offer the 5 neighborhood regional collections, so we can get out closer to our residents. And they also have a curbside collection option if the residents wish to have that as well.
And for the new options, just to, do we know yet how we're going to communicate those new options to?
Very similar to the same program. They'll have a website dedicated to us. There'll be links all, and our information drives it right to them. They register for the collection, so it's quick for them, and the vendor knows how many people to expect.
Okay, so, and the curbside, how is that going to work? So, okay, just so every week now you can bring your, so you can always bring your electronics.
Yes.
Now you'll be able to bring your paints and hazardous waste, right?
Yes.
Once a week.
Twice, actually.
Twice a week,
Yes.
and you register for that.
Yes.
And then there'll be the neighborhood ones, which we've been doing, right, where it's like there's a day, you bring it to a spot. How is the curbside going to work?
If you wish to have them come to the house, you would, again, pre-register, pay. They would send you, I believe it's a bag based on volume. You would simply set the bag out for appropriate day. It would be separate from our trash collection. The vendor would come pick it up.
Okay, and they will handle, Noble will handle
Yep.
all of that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any further discussion? I think we had Councilmember Charlin and then Councilman Wilson next.
So this is now, we will now be doing a curbside program, which is, I mean, that's exciting. Do they still have a drop-off?
Yes, every week,
where-
twice a week at Environmental Services.
At Environmental Services,
Yes.
okay. So it's still taking everything there. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Sounds cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson.
Hey guys, so this is the program where you go down to Railroad Street and drop off. So previously it was only for electronics, you said?
Yes, yes. With the new vendor, they're able to take both materials at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So more convenient for our residents.
Mm-hmm. And so now, so I just want to understand. So the previous was electronics, like old laptops, or
Yes, anything electronic that you want to recycle, things that we're not allowed to take to the landfill. The addition now, you'll be able to bring your paints, your old chemicals, things like that.
Okay. And then how much more expensive is that?
The total, I think, 14,000, I think, a year was the difference between last contract and this.
Okay, so it was 100,000. Now it's 114.
Yeah,
basically.
and a little change, but yes.
Okay. And what's the company again?
Noble Environmental.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kell Smith.
Thank you. I actually started the e-recycling program with Dan Gilman when he was here, but it was very different when I initially had in mind. But this is for 2 years, and is this pressing that you would do it right now? You can't wait for the next administration. I'm just wondering why we're entering into contracts.
So we can be ready to go in January. The current contract
That's it?
ends in December. We need to be ready to go with scheduling and things like that for our
And I
residents.
do like that they'll be able to do a curbside, and I like that they'll be able to take both, electronics and chemicals. So, okay, I think that was it for me. I just wanted to know why was it pressing that we do it before January, because it's a 2-year contract.
Any further discussion?
I hate voting
Oh,
for
sorry.
things I'm not going to be here for, to make sure the next people have what they want to. That's all. Thank you.
Further discussion, Councilmember, it's that first round, Councilman Coghill, and then
No,
we'll
just
turn it over to
one
Councilman
real quick
Warwick.
question, Sean, was, what did they do with their, paints and chemicals now? What have we been doing?
Through
Just on your
PRC,
own?
they have a subcontractor that comes and
Okay.
takes them. It's been a long-standing vendor, but unfortunately, it's only every couple months that they're able to offer that. And it's solely a drop-off location, parking lot drop-off.
Okay. So curbside, if you want to have us pick it up, I guess, we supply a bag and
The vendor supplies it, schedules everything, supplies everything, takes payment.
No,
We have
no
nothing.
labor on our end. The
None.
vendor takes care of all that. And
Yes.
what about paying for it? Do we pay by the pound still?
The resident would pay for
Yeah,
everything.
I mean, and how do they pay over?
They can simply do it over the computer or phone transaction.
So if they put it out, say 3 TVs and a couple old radios or whatever, how do they know what to charge them? I mean, from their
Again,
house, you know
it's
what I mean?
volume-based. They would,
Yeah, I mean, but like, so, what's the name of the company? again?
Noble Environmental.
Noble Environment. Will they come out and weigh it then before
Well,
they
they
take
would
it? or-
inquire what you have
Got it,
when you
yeah.
call to register.
Okay.
They'll send you out the appropriate size container based on what you've told them. And then basically they're picking up what fits in that container.
Right, so you don't know what the charge is until they actually take it away, or?
Well, that they would know ahead of time over
Okay,
the
so they
phone.
would, okay, so
or
it's
online.
not by weight then?
No, not for the
Okay.
curbside.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
a volume
So if it's
based
like
through the
3
curbside.
TVs, there's a set price. Okay, that's my question. Like, I'm thinking like the companies are gonna come out and weigh it on your curb, you know, so.
Yeah, and when you do the drop-off program, everything does get appropriately weighed and charged per, pound and item. So it's just yet another option. If our residents don't have access to come drop it off at any events, they could choose to do this.
Is that just one day a week in every part of the town, or?
I think that's depending on
Okay, we don't
need.
know that yet.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And again, that's part of the reason to get the contract in place, so we can have all this in place. for
Yeah,
our
so they'll have this, the new vendor is gonna have something online where you can just register there, pay that way, all that. Okay, got it. Thanks, Joe.
Councilmember Warwick, second round.
No, I just wanted to say, congratulate, this is great. This is a major improvement, and, we're saving money and we're giving better service. And I know there's lots of people, especially with the paint, because you try and be a good citizen and keep that paint in your basement, but it's a struggle. You really want to throw it out. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for your work on this.
My only question is there kind of a standard practice for disposing of or recycling electronics? Like, are they going to do a comparable job to what PRC was doing in terms of where the metals are going, how it's being deconstructed, or how it's being recycled, or does it vary widely across the board? Do you know?
No, they're all permitted through the state, so they all have the same requirements.
Same requirements. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. All right. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2436, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Affirmative recommendation. Thank you both.
Sorry,
That
thank
moves us
you.
on
Thank
to
you.
our next committee, Land Use and Economic Development, chaired by Councilman Wilson.
Deferred papers, Bill 2149, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code Title 9 Zoning Code, Article 5, Use Regulations, Chapter 911, Primary Uses, and Chapter 912, Accessory Uses, and Article 8, Review and Enforcement, Chapter 922, Development Review Procedures, all to amend outdoor retail sales and service primary and accessory uses.
Motion to approve discussion?
Second.
With discussion, Councilman Wilson.
Yes, can we have people from planning come to the table, thank you? And PLI. And Domi. Oh. So if we could just do introductions.
Sure. Andrew Dash, Deputy Director, Department of City Planning.
Melissa Hill, Economic Opportunity Planner, Department of City Planning.
Monica Bender, Assistant Director of Licensing and Administration, PLI.
Angie Martinez, Assistant Director with DOMI.
Great. I believe yesterday, my office received some amendments
Yes.
that you were working with some, maybe one or more members on what we see in front of us. These are, I know they have my name on them, but so this, you'll see them in front of you. And I would like to make a motion to amend and so we can discuss. So I believe
All the
this-
amendments,
This
Councilman?
is one. There's two different amendments. One is a bigger packet, and then the other one is the use table.
And then I
So,
want to put my amendment in as well, so if you want to discuss it at the same time or not.
can we do these first, then you
Sure.
can discuss yours? Because I just know about these ones right now.
Sure.
So let's, motion to amend, Bill 2150.
We have only read Councilman 2149.
Oh, I'm
We're
sorry.
currently discussing 2149.
Exactly, yeah. So this is, yeah. Actually, can we just read them together then?
Certainly.
Bill
Thank
20,
you.
sorry. Bill 2150, ordinance amending the city code at Title 7, Business Licensing, Article 3, Sales Businesses, Chapter 719, Vendors and Peddlers by repealing Chapter 719 in its entirety and replacing it with a new Chapter 719 to update Pittsburgh's vending program.
Motion to, I guess we have to say motion to approve. Yep.
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Yep.
So
Okay.
2149 and 2150 are all under consideration.
Yes. Thank you. And then, I'm sorry, just give me one moment. Do you, I'm not seeing a clean version, so I believe 2150 will just be a motion to amend, and 49 would be, yeah, they're not clean versions, so we wouldn't, I don't believe we would do substitution, right? What do you think? You want to do it? Okay. We'll do it motion.
2150 is a substitution.
Okay. Let's do 2150 and 2149 motion. Okay. All right, we'll do 2150 as motion to amend my substitution.
Discussion on the amendment by substitution for 2150.
Sure.
I'll give it over
I
to you
can,
so
I
you
can
can
discuss.
explain.
So there are a lot of amendments in that, and just to walk through, most of those amendments were amendments that we had outlined in the city council public hearing. And so that was kind of based on, our process that happened, through this, where we did speak to, to almost all council members, had also spoken to, other interests, kind of as we were leading up to the public hearing, and had outlined, one potential amendment to 2149, which is the zoning bill, and a series of amendments to 2150. And so those amendments to 2150 were, and this was through conversation with Councilman Gross, but I think pretty well accepted by other members, which was to establish a priority for outdoor dining and retail for brick and mortar business owners, so that was clearly within, within the ordinance. Second amendment was to exempt table setups on private property from licensing and update the language on permitted events. Third being to clarify that competition restrictions do not apply on private property, only on public property, so the right-of-way or parking spaces. The next one was to limit sidewalk vending downtown to the pre-approved locations, specify the exempted boundaries for the strip district, carry over existing eligible mobile vending locations in parks, clarify some of the wording in the definitions, parking rules, and size limitations and vendings around parks, and amendments relative to enforcement. Again, this was kind of, these were all things that we had outlined in our presentation, to you all at our public hearing. In addition to that, as we were here now, 2 weeks ago, we followed up and spoke with Councilman Coghill and, and did work through 3 amendments, one that will be in the rules and regulations and not in the legislation, and 2 pieces that will be in the legislation. The 2 pieces being in the legislation being that we would exempt, diagonal or perpendicular parking, from being allowable locations for vending. This was brought up when we were at the table 2 weeks ago. We took a look at it, worked with, Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to look at this. I think see some concerns from 2 perspectives that, lead us to make this, to suggest this change. One was that, from a safety perspective of just someone, parking a vending vehicle in a either perpendicular or angled parking space, as to where queuing and other activities would take place, would potentially be a safety issue, especially, the only way to alleviate that safety issue would be to have them reserve multiple parking spaces to be able to handle those operations. And, that would conflict with our desires to make sure that we are kind of balancing parking needs in our business districts with allowance for vending. And so that is one amendment. The second amendment was that we did change the legislation around competition, around people that would be vending in, a competitive aspect, and that was changed from 100 feet to 150 feet. Again, clarifying that if there were a brick and mortar location that had a vendor that would be competition with that, and they would want them to locate within that 150 feet, they could provide they could provide their approval to allow that competitive vending operation to locate closer. But it would only be allowed if that brick and mortar business had provided, their, kind of statement of approval. So that would be the only way that competition distance could be lowered. And so those were, like I said, in kind of talking through the issues that, that Councilman Coghill had 2 weeks ago and had heard subsequently. We went, I believe, and he can obviously speak for himself, that those were, issues that satisfied the concerns that, that he had been hearing from his constituents. So those two amendments are there additional. The only amendment to 2149 was to clarify, and this was a question that had come up from, I believe, Councilwoman Gross, was to allow vending as an accessory use in parks, but not as a primary use. This was that our parks zoning district, includes more than just the city's parks, and so we wanted to be clear that we were allowing this in city parks in pre-approved locations that are going to go through a public process, that will happen later, after approval of this legislation. But we didn't want, vending operations to be potentially legal in, other properties that might be in a park zone district, because there are, some either vacant properties or single-family homes that do exist in the park zoning district. And so we wanted to make sure by making this change that we are not allowing any of those unintended, operations to take place, but at the same time making sure that we are allowing for us to, again, at a later date through a public process, if those move forward, to have specific identified locations within our public parks.
I'm supportive. I'll open up to other members.
Councilman Coghill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you for working on my concerns, mostly generated around Brookline Boulevard. It's my biggest business district. And just to be clear, so everybody understands, what the planning came back to me with was no vending on the pull-in or angled parking spaces, which works for me on Brookline Boulevard because that's the side where most of the brick and mortar businesses are. The other side of the street is more residential and it's further away. So I'm going to abstain today just because I have to have some conversations with some of my business owners that I didn't get to have yet. But I think this will satisfy their needs, I will tell you, and I'm not looking to hold it up today. I know that, you're anxious to move us along and, we want a more defined exactly what our vending policies are. So I appreciate that, but I appreciate the work, yeah. And again, this works for me on Brookline Boulevard because for many reasons. Gets them on the other side of the street. I worried about the angled and pull-in parking areas just being congested and being too many of them taken up. This gives them a better area for them to vend. The other thing we talked about, so that I'm pleased with. I just want to check with some business owners before I give the final vote, and that will be Tuesday more than likely. The other end of it was we moved it from 100 feet to 150 feet to the nearest competitor. And with a caveat, if a brick and mortar competitor says, I don't have a problem with, this person selling umbrellas and I sell umbrellas, he or she could have that spot. It's permitted. But if that brick and mortar business says, no, I don't want you in there, I want you as far as away, then they have to be at least 150 feet. And at least for me on Brookline Boulevard, this will mean across the street and also 150 feet. So and that's, I kind of want to just run by people I didn't have a chance to talk to before I give my final stamp of approval. The other thing we talked about, which we can't do in this bill, which I agree with some of the speakers, Tony and Todd today, is the fee. So I just feel like $135 for a yearly fee. I mean, I feel it should be a little more competitive. We have people with brick and mortar places that I don't feel like it's going to be overrun, at least not in my district with this. But are we going to increase that fee? Are we going to look at increasing that fee so they have more skin in the game?
So Monica Bender, PLI, we will review the fees associated with the program changes. We're going to discuss that internally before the launch of the program.
Okay, and we talked about this last time, and I think it's still unclear, but as far as like policing the area, whatever that may entail, we're going to count on our Pittsburgh police in case, there's a incident with a vendor who doesn't have a permit, say, and just sets up shop.
Again, we'll work internally to clarify how that structure works. We need to have some critical conversations with those stakeholders. So police, some of our other partners, and as well as this group to ensure.
PLI, would they come and play here? No.
So the enforcement, enforcement is on our code enforcement team within PLI. Yes.
And as Tony was saying, if a brick and mortar place has to go through a 2-day seminar or whatever, thing with the health department, are the food trucks required to do that as well, or no?
So the standards related to food safety and food handling are for anybody who is managing food. So
it's county regulated, and
yes.
Everybody lives by the same rules. Then, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thought it was really creative as to the angle back in parking. I really like that part of it. It'll get me to where I need to be. I just again want to. Check with the business owners who had concerns that I hadn't had a chance to talk to, but thank you for your, for taking my concerns seriously last week and coming back with really very viable options, and I think will be satisfactory in the end for me and my district. But I'll wait to hear from others and talk about the other amendments. So thanks again.
Thank you, Councilman Mosley.
Thank you for coming today. First, I want to thank you for joining a call. I guess it was close to 3 weeks ago now, and I just appreciate your willingness to be on a call. It was not the most pleasant call, as we all know, and I guess we ended up being on the phone for the better part of 2 hours. First meeting with some stakeholders from the East Liberty Chamber of Commerce who had various concerns, and then we kind of had our own debrief that lasted about an hour as well. So I really thank you for taking the time and and allowing me to provide that audience for those folks who were concerned. I did have the opportunity to circle back with them as well as talk to other stakeholders in East Liberty, and I think as we all know, there's folks who have really strong feelings on all sides of this. There's folks who have really strong feelings of not wanting to see the proliferation of vending throughout East Liberty, and then there's also folks who really like to see, vending in East Liberty. My first question, and this may be a DOMI question, around one of the concerns that was brought up, in our conversations around mobile vending taking up parking spaces, and my understanding is that being that so much of the East Liberty district is potentially under the jurisdiction of PennDOT. Do we know exactly which parts of the East Liberty district on Penn Avenue that actually would fall under the auspices of PennDOT and would need PennDOT approval to do vending?
I can speak to that a bit. If the way we've discussed setting up the rules and regulations, the intention is to be consistent with the outdoor dining program. For the outdoor dining program on state-owned roads, the sidewalk is eligible for licensing, but the parking lane would need PennDOT's approval. And so the plan is to follow that and to outline that in the rules and regulations that would be governed by the three departments represented here. But I can turn it over to the assistant director for more details.
No, I think, Melissa, you answered that perfectly. We're trying to keep that continuity, with the outdoor dining guidelines. And then for the specific questions about, which roads are PennDOT versus city, there's actually a great map application I have bookmarked and I used it all the time. It's called Who Owns My Infrastructure? Okay. I believe Penn Avenue, starting at 5th, outbound of town is where the state picks up. Okay. So that's where, to answer your question, okay, that's where there would not be the ability to vend from a parking lane and only the sidewalk would be an eligible location.
Okay. But around like Penn and Highland, it would be eligible?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that is city.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate that. And then around the competition clause, would the 150 feet also be applied to the distance vendors would have from one another? Would that 150 feet, between the vendor and the business also be applicable to vendors as well, like 150 feet from one another?
Not exactly. The rules and regulations will outline the need for space between vendors. And so that currently, the number that has been discussed is 50 feet. Okay. For space between vendors.
Okay. And one of the things that did come up, I think amongst all stakeholders from East Liberty is a lot of interest in wanting to utilize the new Broad Street Plaza as a place for vending, and that's something that we can follow up on. Is like, how do we activate that? But that's something where there's, I think, universal agreement among the folks who aren't excited about mobile vending to the folks who are really excited about mobile vending, is really wanting to activate, that space. And I think even to that point, and also just, I think Highland Avenue, in general, particularly going toward the Broad Street Plaza, I think there's a lot of general agreement. And one thing I also wanted to share, I did have an opportunity to have two, really important conversations with Catapult, kind of on the heels of a really great conversation I had with my colleague, Councilwoman Strasburger, around their retail residency program, because also there was a lot of concern from some members of the East Liberty Chamber about the competition that the gentleman from Mount Washington also mentioned. And one thing that we're looking at doing in East Liberty, and obviously this is not necessarily something that you would codify, in city law, but we would like to see folks who apply for permits in East Liberty to get connected to Catapult's retail residency program, because they've been successful at actually getting mobile vendors into brick and mortar businesses in the East Liberty district. So I think that could be a potential way that, particularly in East Liberty, we can, support the entrepreneurship of folks in mobile vending, but also, support the interest of the chamber of filling those empty storefronts. So I think there's an opportunity there for that. And I know Councilman Cocky also spoke to the point of enforcement. That's something I would like to hear more about, because one of the other concerns that have come up is, and I don't know how often this happens, but, you hear, stories about, folks kind of, making their own permitted home and, and then kind of going out and beginning vending, and, a police officer comes up, or, someone, I would imagine PLI would have, more information about actually what is the proper, paperwork. But I'd be interested in, understanding what would be, if there was a question of if someone was rightfully or wrongfully vending, what type of, paperwork would they would have to present to prove that they're actually right and proper.
So currently, license holders do receive documentation of a license, which has a QR code. And that
Okay.
could be scanned on site and verified.
Okay.
And then in addition to, I mean, I think, and we kind of spoke to this, I think some other times, is that, we are really interested in making sure that we have additional resources that are available to everyone. And so, one of those is around kind of that difference between formal and informal enforcement, right? So obviously the work that Monica and her team and, and the code enforcement team at PLI do, will be around formal enforcement of the, of the program and the rules and regulations. We're trying to make sure that for DPW workers relative to parks or to our public safety counterparts or even to business district managers and businesses that, we're putting clear information out there as to where legal spaces are for vending, so that we can do a better job of making sure to educate everyone as to what's illegal and what's, and what would not be a permitted location for vending. And so that it should, the hope is that obviously with the passage of this legislation and the rules and regulations, that we'll be able to provide that clear guidance. And I think, in addition to the guidance on enforcement, definitely trying to provide guidance to vendors to be able to locate. And I think that's where, Councilman, your comment about Catapult can be something that we maybe follow up with you to see how that's potentially something that we can add into the guidance that we provide to vendors, to people who would be looking to do vending as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I look forward to that. And Monica, you said something I thought, in a very concise way, was really eloquent. When we spoke a couple weeks ago, you had mentioned that the current system is more restrictive upon entry, but less enforceable, and you're trying to create a system that's less restrictive upon entry but more enforceable. Could you elaborate on what you mean by that?
So this change in policy gives us an opportunity to really evaluate how we apply the enforcement strategy to the program. There's obviously some strategies around providing that education piece internally as well as externally. So providing clear guidance to our officers, our enforcement officers, our police officers, other internal departments that may participate or support this program, like DPW. And then being able to have the clear expectations of what the outcome is. So we'll create that documentation and be able to convey that information to everybody, and therefore closing some of the gaps in how we kind of administer it today, where there's an issue and we don't know who should be called to address it.
No, I really appreciate. I appreciate all the work that has been done. I do want to have some further conversations between now and Tuesday, particularly around Penn Avenue, because it seems like even with folks who are more supportive of vending, want to make sure that we have the proper balance in supporting the brick and mortar businesses as well as, but continue to have the vibrancy, on Penn Avenue, like I said, Highland Avenue and the Broad Street Plaza. So I'll definitely, I'm comfortable being supportive today, but I do want to do some follow up between now and Tuesday, particularly around the guidelines that we talked about with Catapult and the retail residency, and really, creating, at least in East Liberty, a pathway where, these mobile vendors, are really not in competition, but you're actually using this as an entryway or on-ramp to actually filling the empty storefronts that the chamber, so I think there's a way that we could kind of kill two birds with one stone, and support on both interests, but then also talk, in greater detail about exactly, how we should approach the Penn Avenue, particularly around Penn and Highland, where it's really congested, and a lot of density, which obviously lends to why you would want to vend there. I think about I'll be in New York in a few weeks, and that kind of density that you see, particularly in Midtown Manhattan. So I totally I understand, and again I appreciate your willingness to be on a pretty tough call a few weeks ago, and having with the grace and that you showed, and the patience, and the willingness to hear them out. I think that's really important, because oftentimes we don't always make decisions that everybody agrees on, but I think it's important for everybody to be heard, and heard in an authentic way, not just lip service. So that's what I'm going to do over the next few days, but I'll reach out to talk about the guidelines and the things that we're trying to do uniquely in East Liberty, to actually, instead of looking at the mobile vending as part of competition to the brick and mortar, but actually this could be an entryway into them joining the brick and mortar community amongst the businesses in East Liberty. So I thank you for your time today, and look forward to continuing these discussions.
Yeah, happy to meet on that, and I think share your sentiment wholeheartedly on the fact that we do see this as an opportunity for people to be able to get into kind of entrepreneurship, and then hopefully we want to be able to see vending turn into businesses that are brick and mortar storefronts in our business districts. Really see that as an important part of being able to kind of seed opportunity in these locations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kell Smith.
Thank you. And I love the idea of catapulting businesses into the storefronts and helping them, but I actually think we're going to have that conversation during budget season, because we didn't put that money in for the URA to provide any of that type of help. So I think that's a conversation to come up, and I'm happy to help with that, because we do have a lot of vacant storefronts and people that want to open businesses but just need that little bit of help, and we're just not providing it as well as we should, I think. But I do have an amendment coming forward, and I'll wait till these amendments to go through. So, Madam Chair, please tell me when you want me to put mine in. Thank you. And mine are to keep vending off of Grandview Avenue. Virginia Avenue has to be added to this amendment, so I'll add that next week. And the side streets from Wyoming to Shaler, no vending, because that's what the community wants. But I do know that we do want vending in other places, and I talked about incentivizing vending in some places. Like I keep saying, Ferrywood is an area that has thousands of workers that come down there, and there's not one restaurant. There's one restaurant, and it's on the one side of Steuben Street that everybody thinks is not in the city. They think it's in Crafton, but it's in Ferrywood, and that's Caliente's Pizza on the bottom of Steuben Street. But there's a business industrial side on that side and on the other side. So both are in the city, and yet there's no vending done. No one's vending. I don't understand it. So I would love to encourage and incentivize places that actually do need vendors, and would probably support them tremendously. And when we talk about parks, I like the idea of parks, but I want to make sure that we're keeping in touch with our athletic associations that use those parks and those fields to pay for referees and umpires and put kids on the field. So make sure that we're collaborating. Maybe they even give a percentage to the field, to the association, so the associations don't have to do all that work. I would just like to see some of those type of incentives. Did you want to say something?
No, I could just respond maybe
Sure.
to some of those points. Again, the process that we've proposed, for parks would be something that would require the Public Art and Civic Design Commission, so there would be a public process, so I think that would, try to identify many of those cases. I mean, we all know about how great the food is at, in Elliott, at Herschel.
Elliott's, they have almost famous concession stand.
As someone whose kids played baseball there regularly, understand that. Now, I think we want to obviously, although there are instances like that where, especially for some of the sports teams, there are concession stands that are operating. We have a lot of things like pools and other uses where there could be a lot of opportunity,
Right.
because the city doesn't sell concessions, or there isn't a concessionaire, relative to that. And so I think we want to allow for the one, while I think wanting to protect the other. And that's why, we intend to have, specific locations in parks, not that it's freely available, as well as, that there is a public process to identify those locations before they're approved. And then, I think,
I want to say something to that too. I think a great opportunity would be for some of the ball fields and some of the pools is if we use some of our food justice funds to maybe pay the food trucks to feed the kids a hot meal and a good meal, and it's helping them, it's helping the kids, and helping the community. I just think those kinds of collaborations are things I would love to see.
Yeah,
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we'd be, I think, happy to work on that, as well as your discussions on Ferrywood. I think obviously, what's proposed here opens up the opportunity for vending to take place in industrial areas like Ferrywood, where it presently would not be able to take place. How that goes from not permitting it at all to permitting it to encouraging it, I think, definitely would be future conversations after this, after this is completed, that we'd be more than willing to follow up.
I think that part of what I heard during public comment, people talking about they don't know where to park and where they're allowed to vend, where they're not. I think having clear signage and saying if it's a state road so that people understand that it may be a state-maintained road or a county, and we don't have jurisdiction over that. So maybe just making sure that we're giving clear messages and clear signage so people aren't getting in these situations where they're not vending where they can't, but are really coming. So I think in Ferrywood, there's no parking along that one side. It's all the industrial. But if you said you were going to put vendors there, that might be a different story. So maybe, work through those kinds of things and have the appropriate signage. But we have signage everywhere. And I think we really need an evaluation and, some kind of, audit of the signage that we have, because some of it is so useless and redundant in a lot of ways. And I just really wish we would look through that, do an audit of all that. Then put up effective signage for this kind of thing.
I think we've been in the process of developing a website relative to our small business resources, not only for vending, but for brick and mortar businesses and other opportunities as well. Do plan on updating a lot of that work around vending, once there's, conclusion on this pair of pieces of legislation. And I think we do want to make sure that whether it's by providing a map that, that people can easily access that has kind of clearly identified where those opportunities for vending are. Those are things that we want to be able to follow up and provide, because not only for people on the enforcement side, but we are getting a lot of questions not only for people trying to relocate or operate, as we look at, what the opportunities would be when the draft comes, or subsequently large events beyond that, but even for, I think, people who, as we talk about the Ferrywood example, just want to be able to locate and be able to serve populations that might not be able to be served by brick and mortar businesses, to provide a service.
That's it for me. Thank you. Thank you all for your work, but I'll put my amendment forward next, and we'll talk about that.
Thank you. Councilperson Charlin.
Yeah, so thank you. Last time we were here, we talked about what we would do in terms of educating both the vendors and the folks enforcing enforcing the regulations. Have we made any progress since last time we talked about how that education would happen? Are we still expecting officers to look at zoning maps?
We're still in the process of scheduling meetings to have those discussions.
And I would say, to a part of your question, I think the idea is that we, and Melissa may be able to speak to this more, but I think there's a way to create a map that just shows all of the potential locations, not having people, that would be easily accessible just for vending, not having them have to look at and understand a zoning map or zoning districts as to where things would be eligible. So create a separate resource for folks around vending that will show all of the locations that, even though that will show all of the locations that the zoning districts permit vending to occur, not have them have to or use the city's zoning map as a resource. Because I think we heard that from you the last time that we spoke, and want to be able to provide that as a resource.
I guess I still am unclear how we expect, how we're going to have police officers, because that largely is going to be who's enforcing this, how we're going to educate them on a new aspect of their job, and how we expect that to work.
So I don't know that it would be largely relying on the police force. There's
anything in the evening, yeah.
Sure. In the evening, that's possible, or the weekends, because we currently
not possible, but necessary. It would be it's the only option.
It depends. It depends on whether there is an event going on, and then we do send inspectors out for specific events, or we have. We can look at the event schedule for the city and manage some of those scenarios. with inspectors, but we would have to partner with police depending on the circumstances. And otherwise, the enforcement of the program is under the purview of our code enforcement team in partnership with the police force.
So the scenario I'm worried about is, on East Carson Street
Sure.
on a weekend. That's not an event. You don't have inspectors out now. Despite years of myself and my predecessor asking for code enforcement on weekends, we're 7 to 3 or 9 to 5. We're not enforcing code after that. We're going to be relying on the police there. And I worry about our ability to educate the police on a new aspect of their job when we don't have a whole lot of examples of being able to do that previously.
So how about we can take some time as we proceed through this policy to connect on those needs with all the various partners, so police, city council, code enforcement team, the licensing team, and we can have those discussions around what the need is.
Has Chief Devine been brought into this yet? I mean, does anyone from the police know this is something we're going to be tasking them with?
Yes, and we have had conversations.
Who from the police?
Melissa, do you want to, or Monica, do you want to reference the various folks that we've met with? I will say that while we're pulling that information up, and we have folks that we've worked with both at the South, I forget the term, but the what? The Entertainment Patrol, as well as with Zone 3 writ large, have had some conversations. Did, after we met 2 weeks ago, have a follow-up with public safety, or to try to, we have not scheduled something. We're in the process of scheduling something to follow up, because I think that, obviously we want to make sure that we're providing the right resources, for, again, whether that's formal or informal enforcement. So those are conversations that we have definitely started. They are conversations that we, are continuing, because we want to be able to make sure that we're providing the right resources.
Yeah.
And it looks like Commander Baker is the person that we've been primarily interacting with, as our kind of, police bureau contact on this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just thinking of I'm really not concerned about a permanent event, something like that happening. I think that's we know how to handle those, and that's when the enforcement agents would go out. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the everyday, the corner of Charles and Grimes in Knoxville that generally has some form of vending on it, that we're not going to pay overtime for an inspector to go out and check that out. That's going to be Zone 3 going to enforce that. And do the folks that are vending in Knoxville, or the folks that are vending on East Carson Street, do they know our rules? Are they going to have the education? And then, again, our enforcement agents, which I'm telling you, what I'm worried about is the police. So
yeah, I hear that as a concern. That is definitely something that we've, like I said, that's why we've had some of the conversations. We definitely plan on continuing conversations to figure out what the right resources that they need are, to be able to understand the program and to be able to understand where things are allowed or not allowed, and and when, right? Because obviously there are different time limits. There are different, there are kind of some portions of the ordinance that are variable.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of amending Bill 2150 by substitution, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Bill is amended. Further discussion on bill as amended.
I'd like to make another
Yes.
amendment, and that mine's for the Grandview Avenue. So motion to amend.
Second.
Discussion?
Mine's just to keep vending off of Grandview. Specifically, it spells it out, Grandview, and the side streets from Wyoming to Shaler, which is what the residents want, and they also want it off Virginia, so I'm going to add Virginia next week. It's not in this one, but I'll add it to that.
So it looks like it adds one subsection to C to 719.10 C, a fifth subsection which is not in, just recognizing that we just amended by substitution, it's not in direct conflict with anything that was already amended by substitution. Just want to clarify that. It's
Right.
an additional subsection, a fifth subsection to section C.
And Dan Friesen's here if we need him. He wrote the amendment.
I think I saw Councilman Wilson's hand.
Yeah, I just want to, can we have interrogatory?
Sure.
Is there vending currently?
No, we put it in so they wouldn't have it, so they haven't had it. They did have it initially, and it was never spelled out. And then residents started calling and were complaining about the vending on Grandview and side streets. So now they don't have it. They can do it on private property, they just can't do it. So St. Mary of the Mount can still do it, other places can still do it, they just can't do it on the public property. So we're just making sure it's spelled out again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Further discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor of further amending Bill 2150 as indicated by the second amendment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bill is amended. Further discussion on 2150 as amended?
I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you.
If not, we still are considering also Bill 2149, and I believe there's amendments for 2149.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Motion to amend 2149.
Discussion?
Would you like to?
Just-
I think you did.
Yeah,
cover that.
as noted earlier, this is one singular amendment, which is to allow vending as an accessory use in parks, but not as a primary use. That's the sole amendment, and that came from our conversations prior to the council public hearing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So I have a question, just in looking at this. You're going to be educating me as to how to read base zoning district charts. When there's a P, it just means it's a primary use. When there's nothing at all, which is it looks like what we're doing, we're just striking the P from parks. And there are some other areas that just have no designation at all. That's what we're doing, correct? And that just means
Correct.
no primary use, but it is allowed. But
Yeah,
not
so-
as a primary use.
So there are particular uses that can provide vending or outdoor retail sales and service is the use, as an accessory use. So this is the allowance for urban agriculture, for example, for there to be farm stands and opportunities there that may exist outside of the zoning districts that are listed here. It was also something that we wanted to include for community center and, kind of some similar uses. And so, the parks are also, one of those places that can operate as an accessory use. An accessory use to that use, no matter where the zoning district, is that it's located in. But in the zoning districts that are on the use table, it could only operate as a primary use. Or it could operate as a primary use, but in the ones that are not on there, it could not.
Okay, and so therefore, like if it's just blank, there's not a need for defining it as an accessory use is allowable here or something else. It's just, that's the interpretation of. Okay.
That's correct, because section 911 of the code is all around primary uses. Then there's additional language in section 912, which is around accessory uses, and it clarifies that.
Thank you. I sometimes get a little bit confused when I'm trying to interpret the use table, so that's helpful. Any further discussion on the amendment to Bill 2149? Seeing none, all those in favor of amending Bill 2149, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Bill is amended. Now it's considering Bills 2149 and 2150 as amended. Further discussion? Yeah, thank you for your work. I'm also looking forward to all of you coming back to us proactively, as Councilperson Charlin indicated, as we mentioned before, to discuss enforcement. And my only ideally with public safety at the table as well. My only other question is, where will be the place or the multiple places where anyone who has a question about the guidance or the rules or a really simple, even just an answer to one question, where will they be able to go for this?
Sure. There is a small business resources page under the city's website. Again, we've been in the process of developing. We would have, in addition to vending, obviously there are resources for a lot of, things like the PGH Lab program or things like, some of the URA programs that they offer, for small businesses. So we are going to develop that further. We have, and I think we discussed this when we were at the table 2 weeks ago, have also discussed having, essentially like a vending day at the one-stop counter, so that, we'd have all of the resources available, we'd have staff available, and, kind of put that forward, again, with the passage of this ordinance, to be able to answer questions, have resources that we can provide directly to people. So we do plan on doing that both in kind of in-person methods, as well as an online presence. Beyond those, I think we are definitely open for suggestion. We see a lot of value in these changes, want to be able to, to note both the opportunity as well as the places where there are concerns, and people want to make sure that, they're able to understand the rules from, kind of an enforcement perspective. So if there are other suggestions that members have, as you think about this, happy to take those on.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of bills 2149 and 2150 as amended, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye on 2149, abstain on 2150.
One abstention on 2150, so noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your work. Thank you, Councilman Wilson, for your leadership.
New papers, Bill 2437.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of City Planning to enter into an agreement with Connect to complete work as part of Soil Mill PGH's Our Common Ground initiative in an amount not to exceed $125,000.
Motion to approve discussion.
Second.
Discussion,
Is
Councilman?
anyone here to discuss the bill? Morning.
If
We're
we
happy
have
to have you in
Afton
person.
Giles working to get on, if you see them, please let them in. At least please let her in.
All right, you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Flor Marion. I'm the Assistant Director for Sustainability and Resilience in City Planning.
I believe I've seen this before, many years ago. I'm just trying to understand if it's the same program.
Yes, it's taking a little bit of time, but we applied to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in 2024 to receive a prize for our continuing our composting effort. And we won that prize in partnership with Connect, the Congress of Neighborhood Communities, so the surrounding township and borough around Pittsburgh. And we received the prize money for the city, but we have to enter into an agreement to be able to give the share to Connect. And it's been taking a little bit of time to establish a framework to give them their share.
What is Soil Mill?
It's the name of the composting program.
And what will be composted?
So this is not for composting. This is to take it. We did the soil mill program where we give composting solution to 300 residents. We wrote a report on the success of that program.
What's the product that will be?
So this one is going to seek assistance to further site and technology planning, cost analysis, goal setting, and feasibility testing to facilitate our transition to circular economy. So it's on the planning side.
Yeah, but what is the? So I understand. Like it sounds like it turns something in the soil. So what is? Soil Mill is a branding that was chosen several years ago because we're turning food waste into compost and soil. But this legislation is really just to enter in agreement with Connect. We applied together for that grant. The city is the only entity that received the funds
But the way we developed the proposal was to work with Connect. So we have to give them their share of the funding, and we have to have agreement and legislation to make this happen. So
Yeah, but what's
It's just the name of the program. It's called Soil Mill PGH. I'm sorry, my camera's not working. I don't know why it's not. This is Afton. So Soil Mill PGH was a program that we started a few years ago where we were testing composting solutions for the city of Pittsburgh. We have the report that's actually been published for everyone to see. The program was really successful, so this is the next phase of Soil Mill PGH. And this next phase is in two parts. One of them is to update the zero waste plan that the city of Pittsburgh has. It's over 8 years old, and we want to make sure that there's a business plan included so that we can actually deploy composting for the city of Pittsburgh based upon the original findings of Soil Mill PGH. And then the second part of it is to take a regional approach to zero waste and composting for the city, for not just the city of Pittsburgh, but for the county, and that's what's in partnership with Connect. So this would pay for their half of that, so that they can do the facilitation and the strategizing with not just Pittsburgh, but with the other members of Connect, which are partnering local governments.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand, is the end product an actual facility somewhere, or is this just the program that picks stuff up, like food waste at people's curbside?
It's a plan, it's neither. So it's the plan to come up with, should we have a facility that will pick up composting? This is the plan to figure out what we should do.
Okay. So the plan doesn't know yet, or the people who are going to work on the plan don't know yet if we're talking about a facility somewhere, or if we're talking about pick up at curbside.
Exactly. This is to plan. We did the pilot. People are really eager to do composting, but we cannot afford to do pick up at every single home. So we need to have a plan on where do we want to site our composting facility, what are the type of program we want to offer, do we connect residents to some pickup, do we have them go to sites they already can go to the farmers market, but we can explore having like a regular site where they could bring their composting. What are the type of program we develop to encourage more people to participate in composting? So that's the plan where we would work with the consultant to further explore
All right.
how to make this happen.
Is this grant money, or is this coming out
This
of?
is grant money. We received it, and we're eager to share it with Connect, so we can focus on the city of Pittsburgh, and Connect can focus on our surrounding communities, and then share findings and work together.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none. I was just pulling up the bill. All those in favor of Bill 2437, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to our final committee of the day, Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilman Mosley.
New papers, Bill 2426, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 1212 Smallman Street, Pittsburgh 15222, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2426, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation, Bill 2427.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service to enter into an agreement or agreements with the County of Allegheny to support children, youth, and family programs administered by the Department of Human Services at a total cost not to exceed $2,400,000 over 2 years.
Motion to approve.
Second, discussion?
With discussion, Councilwoman Cale Smith?
Is there someone here to discuss this? Oh, sorry, I didn't see.
Everyone, Patrick Cornell, Chief Financial Officer.
Hi. Could you-
So this bill is really what it is our learn and earn authorization for 2026 and 2027. If you recall, the way that we routed it for this year as a one-year pilot was to the County Department of Human Services. They were able to use some state funds to leverage an additional allocation to get to the $1.5 million. That pilot for this part of the program worked. We had hoped that some other programs would be able to draw down those state funds. That did not happen. But the county is willing to do this again for Learn and Earn for 26 and 27. So this would align the actual county authorization with the existing memorandum of understanding we have with the county and Partner for Work.
And so we're paying them?
Yes, we will pay money to the county, and then they will.
I don't understand why don't we have our own HR department that did this before.
So yes, that is correct. HR used to do all of the individual contracts with employers who had Learn and Earn students. A few years back, we started working with Partner for Work for them to administer the program. The monies from the county will still go to Partner for Work. So operationally, it's the still.
I actually have a lot of questions about the Learn and Earn, the employment centers. I mean, everything that we're doing with in terms of that, and it was really, I think, going well. I knew what they were doing. It was easy to track. Now I have no clue where some of these programs are. I know we're waiting for an employment center to be opened in Elliott. It's been over a year waiting for it to open. So somebody's intentionally holding it up and preventing people that they say they care about from getting jobs, or we're that incompetent. And I don't think it's incompetency. So I want to know what's happening with that employment center in Elliott.
Okay.
That's supposed to open in Elliott. And then for this summer youth employment, for the Learn and Earn, I have some concerns just because I think that we did some really good numbers, if I recall, right, last year?
I don't have the metrics for the 25 program. I know that it went well. I know it went well last year as well. But I don't have
Are we
those
keeping
metrics.
track of how many kids are from the city and what districts they're from and all that? We're keeping that kind of stuff?
We definitely have residency because the county has their own money and they're supporting county residents, but our money is only going towards city residents, correct?
Yeah,
But,
but I want to know what districts they're
correct.
being hired
District
from,
and
too.
neighborhood. I will make
And
sure that
neighborhoods,
gets it,
because
yes.
I want to look and see what exactly we're doing with this funding. So I'm going to abstain today. I'm going to wait for you to give me some additional information.
Sure.
Okay? Thank you, though. Thank you for your work.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
No, well, it's just sort of a more general, just about DHS and like money that they,
The $1 billion?
Yeah, I mean, us, like us spending it, like, I mean,
Right.
it feels like something that DHS could take over. And I know this is a conversation we've had about OCHS. Like, are there ways that we are looking at to have the things that we're doing as a city, which we are doing well, I want to say, like things that we are doing quite well, I think, like with our OCHS, but that ultimately fall under the umbrella of the county, like to get the county to at least help support in part.
I know for OCHS, I know there are some ideas floating about that. Historically, the needs of the city are very different than the needs of the rest of the county, which is why some of these programs were created at the city level. But there are conversations working about DHS support for that in particular. For Learn and Earn, like I said, the county and the city are both supporting it at the same time.
And sorry, I know and this is specifically our Learn and Earn students working at the city?
So
Or this?
This is city Learn and Earn students who get placed at employers across the city for summer work and internship opportunities. And we help support the administration of the program, for placements and some of the wages as well.
Yeah, I don't know. That does sort of feel like something that foundations could help with and whatnot, I mean, especially given kind of where we are. I mean, I'm
They're too
a big
busy trying to
supporter
run the
of
city.
Learn and Earn, right? Like, it's a great program, but, I do kind of wonder, you have organizations like Partner for Work. I'm like, how is Partner for Work? I mean, it feels like Partner for Work should be like raising the funds and, to make that, again, I'm not really privy to the details of it, but, I mean, I understand the city of Pittsburgh paying for our own Learn and Earn, obviously, right? Like we participate in the Learn and Earn program and pay our Learn and Earn students. But for other, I don't know. I mean, I want the program to happen and thrive and whatnot, but it does feel a little odd to have the city.
Giving somebody with $1 billion money.
Well, I mean, the city, the county, but also, I mean, you know, we have this large nonprofit Partner for Work, and you know what I mean? I guess I'm kind of curious about their role, just generally. I don't know. Maybe that's a larger discussion, but.
I mean, some of it is a larger discussion. I know historically, the city used CDBG dollars to fund the Learn and Earn program way back, and that proved very problematic when there were federal shutdowns and state budget impasses. So we shifted the dollars probably 5 or 6 years back to general fund. You know, we continued to do it in-house for a little bit, and then working with Partner for Work, which really is the Workforce Investment Board, right, allowed us to get some efficiencies in terms of the administration side of it. Because otherwise we were doing, you know, 20, 25 contracts, a city contract with each employer where we were having students placed. So that's part of what they
So it
are
originated
offering.
kind of as a city program, and that's why, and it's, I don't know, yeah.
At least our component of it, yes.
I see.
But we can dig more into the history.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's, I mean, I'm not going to call for it now, but maybe that is a post-agenda of just like Partner for Work, like what do you do? What is the service you provide? Like how are you funded? What do you know what I mean? It's, I kind of sometimes look at the Parks Conservancy in the same way, right? But my understanding of the Parks Conservancy is that what they bring is that we maybe put in a little money, but then they can go raise more money, right? So that they are raising money and we, you know, we're maybe helping fill the gap, but that their primary role is to raise money and kind of go out and, you know, hit the pavement for larger projects that we maybe aren't in a position to do, given our larger obligations. So anyway.
I think that they made that a nice story.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2427, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Abstain, and just until you give me some additional
abstention.
information, but I appreciate your work. Thank you.
Moves us affirmative recommendation. Bill 2428.
Resolution approving execution of a contract for disposition by sale of land between the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh and Bridgeside Point One LLC or a related entity for the sale of Block 29F, lots 26, 28, and 80 in the 4th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, 2nd Avenue and Technology Drive, Council District Number 3, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve?
Is that you?
Second.
Discussion? Councilperson Charlin.
I think URA is here to talk about this. Still have to get used to not looking at David to have him come up here for the URA, but
Hello, Talia O'Brien, Government Affairs Analyst at the URA.
And hi, I'm ML Meyer, Director of Real Estate for the URA.
well, thank you guys for being here. I know that this is kind of straddles my district and Councilman Lavelle's district. Wanted to find out, I know that this was something we were looking at quite some time ago. Tell us who is, going to get this property and kind of how we chose them and.
Sure, this is, brought a map because that's often very helpful. These are 3 small parcels. One of them is a driveway and turnaround, one of them is an access way, and the other is a landscape berm beside a parking lot that's currently owned by this developer, Bridgeside Point One. They've owned the property for some time, and they called us up and said, we need to do some maintenance work on this circular Belgian block paved driveway. Who should be doing that? And we said, probably you. You should probably own this kind of common area between them and the Hyperion, which now has a different name that I'm not remembering, but between these buildings. So these are kind of leftover parcels that the URA owned, and we'd like to convey to the owner of the property that surrounds it for them to maintain it.
Okay. This wasn't the disposition that I thought it was, so that's a lot easier.
Yeah, so it's really moving things out of our inventory that we don't want to own.
Perfect. Makes a lot of sense to me. So, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
You further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2428, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2429.
Resolution approving execution of a contract for disposition by sale of land between the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh Land Bank for the sale of Block 10N, lots 287 and 288, in the 5th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, Center Avenue, Council District Number 6, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2429, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2430.
Resolution amending Resolution 469 of 2003, effective June 18th, 2003, entitled, Resolution authorizing the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh to acquire all of the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the following publicly owned property in the City of Pittsburgh, Council District Number 6, residential construction, 5th Ward, Block 10K, Lot 21, 2249 Mahone Street, Block 10K, Lot 25, 2241 Mahone Street, Block 10K, Lot 27, 2237 Mahone Street, Block 10K, Lot 28, 2235 Mahone Street, by removing parcel 10K21, 2249 Mahone Street, Council District Number 6, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2430, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2431.
Resolution amending Resolution 174 of 2020, effective April 22nd, 2020, entitled, Resolution authorizing the Urban Redevelopment Authority of Pittsburgh to acquire all the city's right, title, and interest, if any, in and to the publicly owned properties in the 5th Ward of the City of Pittsburgh, designated in the Deed Registry Office of Allegheny County as Block 10K, lots 48 and 54, Block 10L, lots 17, 18, 24, 25, 26A, 26B, 31, 39, 249, 250, 251, 282, 284, 286, and 288. Block 10N, lot 340, Block 10P, lots 119, 133, 134A, 135, 136, 137, 138, 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 217, 223, 224, 225, 227, 231, 234, 236, and 241. Block 10R, lots 70, 71A, 72, 73, 75, 75C, 76, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 94, 112, 113, 114, 120, 135, 144, 147, and 150. Council District Number 6, Mixed Use, New Construction, Rehabilitation, Commercial, Affordable Housing, by removing parcels 10P, 134A, 135, 136, 137, and 138, LaPlace Street and Center Avenue, Council District Number 6, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2431, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Madam Chair,
Mr. President.
in a second, I want to make a motion to reconsider Bill 2435, which is in your committee. It's the sale of public property. Sorry. In a second, I will make a motion to reconsider Bill 2435. This is the sale of public property. Normally, I never speak about these because I've already approved it, so when it comes to our table, I have no problem with it. But I did not actually check these. And so I want to thank Councilwoman Smith for bringing it up. As we were sitting here, we were able to go through them, and 2 of the properties are being proposed to be sold to an LLC from California. And then 2 of the properties in my district are being proposed to be sold to a real estate holding company that I believe back in 2012 or 11 actually acquired a number of properties along Webster Avenue, have done absolutely nothing with them. They've just been sitting there, have refused to meet with my office to explain their intent. And so I certainly don't want to sell them additional properties along the same stretch. So that's why I'll be making a motion to reconsider, a motion to approve with discussion, and I'm going to ask to strike these 4 properties. So,
Second.
Thank you, Council
Why don't we
President.
hold the bill? Can we hold the bill?
Would you like to make a motion to reconsider first, then we can discuss? Yeah.
yes, motion to reconsider, Bill 2435.
And a second.
Second. Councilman, Council President, would you consider holding it for 1 week till we both find out, or all find out what's going on with the properties?
Sure, I'm going to do that. I'm going to still make a motion to strike these 4, but then we
Okay.
can also hold it for a week to allow you the opportunity
Okay,
to
thank
review
you.
as
Thank
well.
you for checking on it, too.
Okay.
Second.
So motion to approve with discussion,
Motion to approve with discussion.
Second.
and then a motion to strike items C, D, F, and G.
So noted.
Second. Did we do that already?
Second. All those in favor of the amendment proposed by Council, the voice amendment proposed by Council President, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Discussion on the bill as amended. Councilman Wilson.
I have to take this opportunity,
You want to correct this?
No. Thanks for catching that, but I just want to take this opportunity to say this is exactly the reason why we should be investing in the land bank, because this is there will be a full review of who is being sold property. We don't have to sell to the highest bidder. Your representatives there are in full control of preventing speculators from purchasing properties. So I look forward to a good discussion here at the council table in terms of making sure that there's everlasting support for the land bank. Thank you.
I thought they said they got these from the land bank.
No, these are properties that the city acquired treasurer sale or tax sale, I believe.
Okay, I thought they said that.
I don't think we'd be taking victory laps on the land bank like we have been. If this
Yeah.
was,
I was just wondering,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking, why would you give them to them? Okay.
So we have the amended bill at hand. Were there any further motions?
Can we make a motion to hold for 1 week?
Motion to hold for 1 week.
Just so
Is
we
there a
have, all have
second?
time to look at what's
Discussion on the
happening.
motion. All
Thank
those in
you.
favor of a 1 week hold for Bill 2435, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Bill will be held for 1 week.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda. I do have many announcements. It's budget season, so this afternoon at 1:30 p.m., Council will hold the overview policy discussion for the 2026 budget with our budget office. Thursday, November 13th at 10 a.m., Council will hold budget hearings for the Departments of City Planning and Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, chaired by Councilman Wilson. Thursday afternoon at 1:30, Council will hold budget hearings for Department of Finance and Law that I will chair. Friday, November 14th at 10 a.m., Council will hold budget hearings for the Department of Human Resources and for the Commission on Human Relations, chaired by Councilperson Charland. And Monday, November 17th at 10 a.m., Council will hold budget hearings for the Controller's Office that I will chair. Anything from members? Councilwoman Kell-Smith.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that Councilwoman Warwick and I, she reminded me that we need an RCO meeting, so we do have that scheduled for December 1st, at 6 to 8 p.m., and it's going to be via Zoom. And then we're going to, and I'm also going to call for a public hearing so the general public has a chance to comment, not just the RCOs. So I motion for public hearing regarding RCOs.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. All right, we will schedule the public hearing on RCOs. Thank you for your work on that.
Thank you.
Anything else from members? Councilman Mosley.
Yeah, I want to thank the Hill family. I want to thank IMP, City Planning, of course, DOMI, everyone who participated in the honorary renaming of Lang and Hamilton and Homewood after Pete Hill, a legendary Hall of Fame baseball player who, unfortunately, for many years, was buried in history and has been rediscovered this century, even though he began his baseball career in 1899 here in Pittsburgh, playing for the Pittsburgh Keystones, and finished his career with the Baltimore Black Sox in 1925, 100 years ago. And it was a great gathering a number of elected officials, as well as family members from across the country, as well as family who still lives in the Pittsburgh area. And it was a great example of how the city can use our platform to remind folks of the greats who've come out of these neighborhoods and the rich history that we have here in the city. So it was a great event, but I wanted to give a shout out to the various city departments as well as special events who made that great event on Monday happen.
Thank you, Councilman. Anything further? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to excuse the absent member, approve the minutes, and adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. See you at 1:30.